YouTube, how's it going? It's your guy Nutzypoo back with another video today, and this is one that you guys are always waiting for. We are less than 1 week away from the launch of MLB the Show 23, and most of you guys came across my channel based on my rebuild franchises, and we're going to be doing another one here for MLB the Show 23, but we're going to put a little bit of twist on it this year. Over the previous years, I've just picked teams that I really wanted to rebuild. 2 years ago, it was my Pirates. Last year, it was the Miami Marlins. This year, there's a handful of teams that I would love to rebuild. So instead of being the one to pick it, I'm just going to let a random wheel select my franchise team for this year. So before we get into that, be sure to like this video, share it with a friend, and hit that subscription button because we are about to jump into so much MLB 23 content, and you can find it all here right on my YouTube. Let's go check out the wheel we're going to be using, and then we're going to talk about a few teams I would love to get, a few teams that I wouldn't love to get, and then we're going to hit that spin and start eliminating each team one by one until we have one team remaining. Who's going to be our franchise for MLB the Show 23? Let's get into it and find out. All right, so here's the wheel we're going to be using. As you can see, every MLB team is on it, and there's a couple of teams that I'm looking forward to, and I'm really hoping I get the chance to rebuild. The first of which is the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think that they're at a really fun point in the rebuild. Obviously, Corbin Carroll just hit the majors. You have Zach Gallen chilling out there. Are you going to pay him, or is it time to trade him? And some of their high-rated prospects are just starting to hit the majors, which could make it a very fun and quick rebuild, actually. Next up, we have the Kansas City Royals. I would love to do a rebuild in Kansas City. Obviously, you have Bobby Witt Jr., who's one of the most exciting young players in baseball, but a lot of their young prospects are starting to hit the majors, and can they come in and give some support to Salvador Perez and some of those long-standing Royals? Another team that I would love the chance to rebuild would be the Baltimore Orioles. I will say about Baltimore, they are right at the end of their rebuild, right? Obviously, they overperformed last year, ended up higher in the AL East than I think a lot of people expected them to, so it would be a really abbreviated rebuild. You guys would be looking to contend year one and then just keep building on that success year by year by year. Now let's take a look at three teams that I do not want this wheel to land on. Heaven forbid I end up with any of them. The first of which, and the team I want the least, is the Houston Astros. Now, I don't have a whole lot of hate for the Houston Astros like I know a lot of other franchises do. My biggest issue is they're the only team in Major League Baseball that I consider to not have a weakness. Their starting rotation's elite, their bullpen's fantastic, their lineup top to bottom is probably the best in Major League Baseball, and then on top of that, they still have prospects yet to come up and perform at the Major League level. I don't want any part of that team. Next up, we got the New York Yankees. The Yankees are obviously the evil empire. They're good year in, year out. I don't think I have a whole lot to rebuild there, so I don't want to see them be the team that ends up on this wheel. And then finally, the last team I don't want to rebuild is the New York Mets. As much fun as it would be to have unlimited money as with Steve Cohen, I'm just not about it. I don't want to see the Mets. I want to see a more interesting team to do the rebuild. Who's the first team off the board? Oh man. The anxiety starting early and often here. First team off the board is a great one. The Atlanta Braves, not really a rebuilding team in the slightest, a team that I'm excited to get off the board early. They have all of their best players locked up for a long period of time, really established rotation, really established lineup. Get them out of here. Let's see who's next. Oh, pain. One of the three teams that I wanted to rebuild goes off the board. Number two, we already talked about the Kansas City Royals. I think that they would have been a really fun team to rebuild, but it wasn't in the cards. We're leaving it up to the stars. Let's see who gets eliminated next. Okay, that's good. We have two teams that really needed to go off the board early. The New York Mets are done. We've already talked about them. Who's next to go? Ooh, the Chicago White Sox is an interesting one. It could have made for kind of a fun rebuild. I feel like they've been an underperforming franchise, especially based on the talent they have on their roster. It could have been a good opportunity to bring in some players, see if we can make them take the next jump and live up to their potential. Guess we're not going to see how that plays out. Next one to go. The Philadelphia Phillies are an interesting team to get eliminated. I think that they're a little bit too good to do a rebuild. Obviously, they were in the World Series last year. I think they overperformed a little bit this year or last year, but they definitely got better with their offseason acquisitions this year. That's another team that's good to get out of the way early. Let's see who goes next. I would also love to see the Pirates and Marlins get eliminated just because I've already done rebuilds with them and I don't want to see them again as much as I love my Buccos and as much as they'd be a fun rebuild. Los Dyers. I'm happy the Dodgers are gone. Obviously, one of the best teams in baseball and have been for the last 20 years. There is some interesting storylines with the team because, once again, it's another team that I feel like has underperformed over the length of their last run. They've won one World Series, but should have probably won a handful more in that time frame. Another great team off the board. Who's coming next? Oh, low-key, the Angels would be a super fun rebuild, but we'll wait on that one. Who is the next team off the board? And it's going to be the Minnesota Twins. Now, the Minnesota Twins would be a fun rebuild as well. Obviously, no playoff performances in the last 20 years. They always underachieve, especially running into the Yankees in the playoffs. Just re-signing Carlos Correa. They have some young, fun prospects, but not in the cards. That one hurts too. Colorado Rockies, not a team I talked about at the beginning of this video, but another team that would have been a very, very fun team to rebuild. They have an interesting mix of high cost veterans and Chris Bryant, and then also a young mix of super interesting talent. Plus, it'd be super fun to play, in the Rockies, getting all of those home runs and that kind of stuff. But they're another team eliminated. Let's spin it again. There it is, another one of the three teams that I did not want picked. The New York Yankees, they're off the board. Don't have to worry about rebuilding them. That makes my life a little bit easier. Okay, the Milwaukee Brewers, although I will say that the Milwaukee Brewers would have been an interesting team to rebuild, just given the fact that they're in a really interesting place. They've sold off some of their pieces, like Hader they traded last year, and if they're not performing by the midway point of this season, I think you could see both Yelich and Burns get traded, so that would have been an interesting team to rebuild, but it wasn't in the cards. The Cincinnati Reds, I'm kind of happy I don't have to rebuild them. Low-key, they're my least favorite franchise in baseball. As a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, you guys remember that Trevor Williams fight from a few years ago with Derek Dietrich and all of those guys. Yasiel Puig. I'm happy I don't have to rebuild them, even though they would have been a super fun team to rebuild because they have a lot of fun prospects like Elly De La Cruz. But, not a Reds guy, so that makes me a little bit easier to buy in. Yes, all three of the teams I did not want to rebuild are gone. This time it's the Houston Astros. Thank goodness. The Houston Astros are just too good, man. They're too good. It wouldn't be an interesting rebuild. I'm so happy they got eliminated. Let's run it again. Okay, so this is a team I did not talk about, but it's another team I'm happy to see get eliminated, the San Diego Padres. Now, I will say they have a couple of interesting storylines. What do you do with Juan Soto? Do you give him $500 million? Reports are that they're going to go after Shohei Ohtani next year. That could be crazy. The Padres are another one of those squads that just seem like they have unlimited money to throw at free agents and all of the pieces they want. They've basically established an unbelievable murderer's row 1 through 9 on their lineup. Really good rotation still as well with Yu Darvish and others, but I'm happy they got eliminated. Wouldn't have been a good rebuild. Okay, so the St. Louis Cardinals are an interesting one because it feels like they're kind of at the end of their championship window, but they have some prospects coming up that could extend their window a long period. Obviously, Yadi Molina and Albert Pujols both retired last year, which is the end of a huge era in St. Louis, and you have guys like Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman waiting in the wings ready to come up, but they're the best team in the NL Central. I would prefer to rebuild a bad team. If we end up with a good team, we end up with a good team. But St. Louis Cardinals, another team eliminated. Toronto Blue Jays, interesting team. It feels like they've underperformed the last handful of years. This year they have a real legitimate shot at being a World Series contender. George Springer, a lot of fun names. Vlad Guerrero Jr. could see how his career plays out. But it's another team that I'm not too hurt to see off the board. I'm going to be honest, we've done a really good job of getting rid of a lot of good teams so far. A lot of really fun rebuild teams still on the board here potentially. And the Washington Nationals are gone, and that's an interesting one because obviously they're going to be one of the worst teams in baseball this year, and they have a lot of prospects who are still a year or two away, so that would be a tough rebuild along with the Oakland Athletics. It would have been a very rewarding and fun rebuild probably for you guys to watch, though, but they're gone. I guess really all we have left to get rid of is... Ooh, no, okay, so the Los Angeles Angels, low-key, were a team I really wanted to end up with, just because the chance to have Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on your franchise team and then try to build a team around those two and finally take Trout to the promised land sounds like an absolutely incredible franchise storyline, but it wasn't meant to be. Peace out, Angels. And just like that, one of them is gone. Miami Marlins, obviously, you guys watched the rebuild last year. I didn't end up finishing it, which I really, really apologize for. My content just kind of fell off a cliff last summer, as it goes. But Miami Marlins not coming back for season 2. Let's see who the new team is. Okay, so the Boston Red Sox are gone, and honestly, I think that would have been a really fun team to rebuild because they're in a really bad place as a franchise right now. They've let some of their big names go, like Xander and Mookie Betts, obviously, over the last handful of years. They did just lock up Rafi Devers, which is awesome, but they have a lot of really, really fun prospects sitting in the wings, like Tristan Cassis and a few other names, Brain Bayo, that could be really, really fun. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see them, but could have been a very fun team to rebuild, especially in the AL East, a very tough division. Okay, so the Tampa Bay Rays, the last good team remaining, is gone. This has really worked out well. This random spin has worked out perfectly. We only have bad teams left. Which bad team is going to be the team that takes it? San Francisco Giants, obviously, they're coming to the end. I guess you can't really call it a championship window, but a couple of years ago, they were very, very good. They have a lot of old players and a lot of underachieving prospects. You would have had to do a lot of work to make the San Francisco Giants competitive again. Getting Aaron Judge would have been huge, but obviously that wasn't in the cards as well. Giants are gone, and it's just bad teams left, except for the Seattle Mariners. Although I would love to rebuild the Mariners, or not really rebuild, but turn them into a championship team. Obviously, they're my regional team. I'm kind of a closet Mariners fan. I don't know if they would work for a rebuild series. We'll see. Oh, no. Baltimore is gone. Okay, so that was one of my top 3 teams that I would love to have rebuilt. I think Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, and some of those other names would be incredibly fun to play with. And they have a beautiful ballpark to play in, great jerseys, and play in a hard division. I'm really disappointed about that, but we keep it moving. Okay, Texas Rangers would have been an interesting rebuild as well. Obviously, they've been in the cellar of the AL West for years at this point, but over the last couple of years, they've shelled out money to Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and this year, Jacob deGrom. Plus, you have guys like Jack Leiter and others waiting in the wings. That could have been a really, really fun team to play with and bring them back to a championship contender status, especially with the amount of money they've been throwing around. But they're gone. Let's keep it rolling. Nope, the Seattle Mariners are gone. As much as that's disappointing, because like I said, I really do like the Mariners, they wouldn't have been a very hard team to rebuild or get to that championship level. All of the pieces are there. A lot of them are really young, and now Julio Rodriguez is locked up long term. So as far as teams, that get knocked out, it's the best of a really good group of teams remaining. No. The Arizona Diamondbacks, that was my #1 team that I really, really wanted to rebuild. I think that they are so much fun and have so many great prospects, but all of the teams remaining would be fun rebuilds. I guess, we have to say goodbye to them. Final 5, here we go. Ooh, the Chicago Cubs. That one's interesting. A lot of fun prospects, obviously, but then picking up the likes of Cody Bellinger, that would have been a fun storyline. See if you can bring Cody Bellinger back to his MVP level. Seiya Suzuki, a lot of fun. Oh, Dansby Swanson signed with the Cubs. That would have been a fun rebuild. Unfortunately, it's not meant to be. We keep it rolling down to the Final 4. And the Pirates are still here, man. Honestly, the only team that would not be a great rebuild are the Guardians, but, and as you guys can see, it's still the old logo, but this is an old wheel. And just like that, they're gone. Okay, so Guardians would have been fun. Josh Bell obviously signed there. They had a kind of unprecedented playoff run last year. No one expected much out of them, but Stephen Kwan and those guys really carried them. They have an interesting mix of like good players. Obviously, you have Jose Ramirez as well, but it's not meant to be, man. So we're down to the final three: the Oakland Athletic, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Detroit Tigers. You guys have already seen it over on TikTok. Detroit is my TikTok franchise, so I would love to play with them, but I mean, it is what it is. It'd be hard to do different moves if we get Detroit again. And there goes my Pittsburgh Pirates. Listen, I love my Buccos. I think that they would be an incredibly fun team to rebuild with all of the talent in the farm system and some of those players who are coming up. You could lock up Ryan Reynolds. There's a lot of really, really good storylines there. But realistically, I just used them for a franchise rebuild 2 years ago. We need something new. Let's see who the next team is. This is the last spin. We're down to the final two, the Detroit Tigers and the Oakland Athletics. We'll talk about them both here real quick. The Oakland Athletics are in a state of disarray. They have a terrible stadium. Less than 2,000 fans go to their game every game. They don't have a lot of help in the farm system. You're going to have to do a complete and total overhaul. Their owner doesn't want to spend money. That would be by far the most difficult franchise to rebuild in Major League Baseball. It would take years and years, but it could be a really fun series for you guys to watch. The other team, Detroit Tigers, a lot of fun pieces there as well. Their whole starting rotation got hurt last year. Otherwise, they could have made some noise in the AL Central. AL Central, not a great division top to bottom. There are some above average teams for sure. You guys have Spencer Torkelson, you have Riley Green, and you have Javi Baez, obviously, and see if you can bring Javi Baez up to an MVP caliber level like he used to have when he was in Chicago. The real question is, which of these two teams are going to be the team we rebuild? There's one spin left to find out. Let's see who the final team is. All right. And the Detroit Tigers have been eliminated. The last squad remaining is the Oakland Athletics, and that's going to be the team we're rebuilding for MLB The Show 23. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be so hard. I think we have it in me. We have some interesting things we could potentially do. Do we pick up Oakland and move them to maybe Las Vegas and do a Las Vegas-based franchise with a custom stadium? Do we keep it in Oakland, give them a new stadium, or do we just stay in the Coliseum? So many awesome opportunities. I'm going to have to think about it for the next couple of days, and you guys know the next video will be me breaking down the roster. I'll let you guys know what our plans are. It's going to drop the day after MLB The Show 23 launches into early access, so I'd expect it on Saturday. It is time for the Oakland Athletics rebuild for MLB The Show 23. Thank you guys so much for watching this whole video. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought this was a really creative idea to pick our MLB The Show 23 franchise team, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you guys haven't already, feel free to hit that like button, hit that subscription button, and if you want, share this with a friend. Also, feel free to follow me over on my other socials as well: TikTok, Twitter, Twitch. We're back to doing very regular Twitch streams, 4 or 5 streams a week, which is awesome. MLB The Show 23 should be an absolute blast. I can't wait to play it for you guys. Be on the lookout for a lot of content. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. Peace!